All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're tackling something I think a lot of us can relate to.
Okay.
That ever-growing pile of scrap wood in the workshop.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all those leftover bits and pieces from projects.
Oh, I know it well.
Yeah, and we're going to explore how to turn that scrap into actual treasures.
I like it. Turning trash into treasure, that's a good theme.
Exactly. And we've got some great sources for this deep dive.
Okay, what do we have?
Well, we've got some transcripts from a couple of woodworking YouTubers, a whole guide dedicated to scrap wood projects,
Nice.
and even an analysis of how these projects can be great for gifts and even starting a small business.
Oh, wow. A business angle, too.
Yeah. So the mission here is to, well, first get inspired, right?
For sure.
And then hopefully learn some new skills and who knows, maybe even spark a new side hustle for some folks.
That's a great goal.
Yeah. And I got to say, I'm already pretty inspired.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
Just going through these sources, one of the things that stood out to me was how they presented the whole scrap wood situation.
Okay.
Like one of the YouTubers literally starts their video with a mountain of scrap wood.
I can picture it.
Right. It was like they peeked into my garage.
Well, I think that's an image that a lot of DIYers are familiar with.
Yeah. We start projects with the best of intentions,
Yeah.
promising to use up all those scraps someday.
Someday, yeah, that magical day.
But then, you know, life happens and that pile just keeps growing.
Oh, it definitely does.
But what I really appreciate about these sources is that they kind of shift our perspective.
How so?
It's not about beating ourselves up for having a scrap pile.
Right.
It's about seeing that pile as an opportunity.
I like that, reframing it.
Yeah. And that's what these creators are all about.
It seems like it.
It's about resourcefulness,
Yeah.
you know, and sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of seeing those scraps as waste, they're looking at them as raw material.
Yeah.
Raw material just waiting to be transformed.
Yeah. Makes you look at it in a whole new light.
It really does. Now, I gotta confess, though.
Okay.
Sometimes I get a little intimidated by these elaborate woodworking projects you see online.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you have to be a master craftsman to do this stuff?
I think that's a common misconception.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that really struck me about these sources is how accessible they make it sound.
Okay.
They really emphasize that you don't need to be a woodworking wizard to get started.
That's good to hear.
Hmm.
So what are some of those beginner-friendly projects? What can someone with, like, basic skills actually make?
Well, a few that popped up repeatedly were chevrons, those stylish V-shaped wall decorations.
Oh, I've seen those. They look really cool.
They are, and they're relatively easy to build.
Okay.
And then there are lazy Susans, you know, the spinning trays?
Yeah, those are great for, like, spices and stuff.
Exactly. And the sources mentioned those can be good sellers too, especially in sets.
You know, interesting. So there is some business potential here.
It seems like it.
Yeah. If we're thinking about selling, were there any specific tips that stood out to you?
Definitely. One thing that kept coming up was the importance of consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to build a brand, you know.
Like those companies with their signature colors and fonts and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Having a recognizable style across your products can really make your work stand out.
And encourage people to come back for more, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, consistency, got it. Besides chevrons and lazy Susans, what other projects were they suggesting?
Key holders and sunglasses holders were popular, especially when sold as a pair.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I like that.
And you can't go wrong with coasters.
Coasters, this seemed kind of basic.
Oh, but they're so versatile. You can use up those oddly shaped scraps, and people always need coasters.
True. Okay, coasters. Oh, and you mentioned something earlier, schukel boards.
Yes, those are cool.
What exactly are those?
They're basically small boards, often made with really beautiful exotic hardwoods.
Okay.
And they often have a uniquely designed handle.
So like miniature serving boards.
Exactly. Perfect for presenting, you know, small snacks or charcuterie.
Oh, I get it. That's fancy.
And the sources suggest they're really popular with buyers who are looking for something, you know, unique and handcrafted.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, this is giving me some great ideas. Now, I got to ask you about this one YouTuber.
Okay.
He talked about something called intuitive building.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
No sketches, no pre-planning, just letting the creative process unfold.
Just going with the flow.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a fascinating approach. He basically lets the wood guide him, you know, uses cardboard for quick prototypes.
Oh, that's smart.
He even called it cardboard-aided design.
Cardboard-aided design. I love it. It sounds so liberating, but honestly, I think I'd be completely lost without at least a basic plan, especially if I'm just starting out.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And the sources acknowledge that that approach might not be for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people thrive on that spontaneity, while others need a bit more structure.
Right. So they do offer plans and instructions for people who prefer a more, step-by-step approach.
Oh, absolutely. Plenty of examples.
Okay, good to know. So it seems like there's a woodworking style for everyone.
It really does.
But whether we're going with intuition or instructions, one thing they all agree on is the importance of personalization.
You're right. That was a big theme.
Yeah, what are some of the ways these creators add those unique touches?
Well, they mentioned things like monograms, inlays, using contrasting wood choices, all sorts of creative options.
Oh, wow. So many possibilities.
And one creator even uses his dog's paw prints.
Paw prints. Ah, that's cute. But wouldn't that be weird on, like, a cutting board?
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on the project. Another source highlighted the idea of thoughtful pairings,
Like what?
Imagine giving someone a cocktail smoker, but you also include a set of wood chips and a mini blowtorch.
Oh, I get it. It's like taking it to the next level.
Exactly. It elevates the gift and makes
Yeah.
it more special.
Wow, I'm starting to see the potential here. This is more than just making things.
Yeah.
It's about creating something special and meaningful.
Precisely. And this is just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface of what's possible with scrap wood. We've talked about all these different project ideas
Yeah.
and even the potential for turning this into a business.
Right.
But there's another layer to this whole scrap wood thing that I find fascinating.
Oh, what's that?
It's the different, philosophies or approaches to woodworking itself.
Okay.
Like some creators, as we mentioned, they're all about that intuitive style,
Yeah.
just going with the flow,
Mhm.
while others are all about having a detailed plan.
I think I'm more of a plan person myself.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see the appeal of just letting the creative process, unfold organically.
Yeah.
But what are some of the advantages of that intuitive building approach?
Well, it's really all about embracing that creative freedom,
Okay.
and problem solving as you go. You're not limited by a preset plan, so you can kind of let the wood guide you.
That does sound exciting,
Yeah.
but also a little terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that.
Isn't it easy to get stuck or make mistakes without some kind of roadmap?
It can be, and that's where that cardboard-aided design technique comes in.
Oh, right. Using cardboard for prototypes.
Exactly. It lets you experiment and make adjustments
Okay.
before you actually commit to cutting the wood.
So it's like a dress rehearsal for your project.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of encourages you to embrace those imperfections
Oh, interesting.
and those happy accidents.
Right, because sometimes those lead to something even better.
Absolutely. Sometimes those unexpected turns can lead to the most innovative designs.
I can see how that would be really rewarding.
Yeah,
Especially for people who thrive on that kind of spontaneity.
for sure. But for those of us who crave a little bit more structure,
Mhm.
the sources definitely recognize that not everyone is wired for that level of, free-flowing creativity.
Right.
So they offer plenty of examples of projects with, detailed plans,
Okay.
step-by-step instructions, which can be a godsend for beginners.
Yeah, especially for beginners.
Or for anyone who wants to recreate a specific look.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That takes away some of the guesswork.
Right.
Gives you that confidence that you're on the right track.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
even if you're following a plan, there's still room for personal touches.
Oh, for sure. You can swap out different wood types,
Yeah.
experiment with different finishes,
Yeah.
add some decorative elements.
It's all about making it your own.
So whether you're a free spirit or a meticulous planner,
Yeah.
there's a woodworking approach out there for you.
It seems that way. And the sources do a great job of representing that diversity.
Okay, so we've covered the creative side,
Yeah.
the project ideas, the different philosophies. But what about the practical stuff?
Okay.
What kind of tools do you actually need to get started with scrap wood projects?
That's a great question. And one of the things I really appreciated about the sources is that they emphasize that you don't need a fancy workshop
Oh, good.
or a ton of expensive equipment to get started.
That's music to my ears.
Yeah.
Because my workshop is more like a corner of my garage.
Well, you're in good company. You can accomplish a lot with just a few basic tools.
Like what are those essential tools that kept popping up?
A saw, a sander, a drill, and some clamps.
Okay, so pretty basic stuff.
Pretty basic. And when it comes to saws, like a basic jigsaw is super versatile and perfect for beginners. A cordless drill is also essential, for making holes and driving screws.
Okay, so we're not talking about industrial grade equipment here.
Not at all. Of course, as you get more into it, having specialized tools like a router or a table saw can open up a lot more possibilities.
Yeah.
But you can tackle a surprising number of projects with just those basic hand tools and a healthy dose of creativity.
That's good to know. Okay, what about the finishing touches? Is that where things get complicated?
Not necessarily. The sources offer a lot of, simple and safe finishing techniques.
Okay.
And they emphasize choosing finishes that are appropriate for the project.
Right, because safety first. Especially if you're making something like a cutting board.
Exactly. One source really stressed using food-safe finishes for those types of projects.
Yeah.
Mineral oil was mentioned quite a bit for cutting boards and serving pieces.
Okay.
It's a natural oil that conditions the wood and helps protect it.
And what about for projects that aren't for food?
They mentioned a range of options like spray lacquer and other types of oils.
Okay.
The key is to choose a finish that complements the wood,
Right.
and enhances its natural beauty. And you want to consider the durability, too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Based on how the piece will be used.
I'm really starting to see those piles of scrap wood in my garage in a whole new light.
Right.
It's like a treasure trove just waiting to be discovered.
I like that.
But let's go back to those selling tips for a second. We talked about consistency earlier.
Yeah.
But were there any other, gems of wisdom about actually turning this into a business?
Absolutely. One recurring theme was the importance of focusing on items that are both beautiful and functional.
That makes sense.
People
want something they can actually use.
Exactly. People are more likely to buy something that they can actually use and enjoy on a regular basis.
Yeah, like a hand-carved trinket might be nice to look at.
Yeah.
But a handcrafted key holder or a set of coasters is something you'd use every day.
Exactly. And they also talked about the importance of quality over quantity.
Right.
It's better to create a few really well-made pieces than a bunch of, shoddy ones. People are willing to pay for craftsmanship and attention to detail.
That's good advice for any creative endeavor, really.
It is. It can be tempting to just churn things out.
Oh, yeah.
But focusing on quality is ultimately more rewarding.
Couldn't agree more. What else?
And lastly, they emphasize the importance of presentation. Yeah, especially when you're selling online.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Like good photos and stuff?
Exactly. High-quality photos that showcase the beauty of your work are essential.
It's the age of Instagram, after all.
Right. A picture's worth 1,000 words, especially when you're trying to grab someone's attention online.
Okay, this has been so insightful. I'm actually feeling inspired.
Good.
And ready to tackle that scrap wood pile in my garage.
That's the spirit.
But before we get too carried away with project plans, I think there's one more important aspect we need to explore.
Oh, what's that?
We've talked about the practical side.
Yeah.
And even the business side of things.
Right.
But there's a deeper element to all of this that we haven't really touched on yet.
I think you're right. There is, and it's kind of at the heart of woodworking.
The heart of woodworking. Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's the reason why people are drawn to working with wood in the first place.
Okay.
The joy, the satisfaction, the connection to something tangible and real.
The heart of woodworking. That sounds kind of deep.
It is. It goes beyond just, making things. It's about connecting with a craft that's been around for centuries.
Yeah.
Tapping into that creative energy and turning raw materials into something that's both beautiful and functional.
I can see that. There's something very grounding about working with your hands.
Yeah.
Creating something tangible from scratch.
Absolutely. And all the sources we've looked at, they really capture that sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
One creator talked about taking a break from those big demanding projects.
Right.
And just kind of playing around with scrap wood, just letting the creative process flow.
It sounds almost meditative.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. It's about being present in the moment,
Yeah.
focusing on the task at hand, and being open to those unexpected outcomes.
So it's not just about the finished product, is it?
No, it's about the whole process.
The journey, not just the destination.
Exactly. The sources really emphasize enjoying that journey.
Yeah.
It's about the feel of the wood, the sound of the saw, even the smell of the sawdust. Ah, I love that smell.
Right. And it's about those moments of frustration when you hit a snag, you know.
Yeah.
but then the triumph of figuring it out.
Right.
And creating something you're really proud of.
I'm starting to understand why people are so passionate about this.
Yeah.
It's more than just a hobby. It's like a whole way of life.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And that really comes through in these sources.
Mm-hmm.
You can sense that passion.
Yeah.
And that sense of community, even just through the transcripts and the guide.
You've convinced me. I'm ready to dust off my toolbox and give this a try.
Awesome.
But where do I even begin? There are so many possibilities.
Well, the great thing is you can start with something simple.
Okay.
Like a cutting board or a set of coasters.
Right.
Don't worry about perfection. Just focus on enjoying the process and learning as you go.
And maybe embrace a few of those happy accidents along the way.
Absolutely. Sometimes those detours lead to the most creative breakthroughs.
True. True.
And remember, there are tons of resources available online.
Videos, plans, you name it.
It's all out there.
There's a whole community ready to support you.
So there's really no excuse not to dive in.
I don't think so. And who knows, maybe you'll discover a hidden talent.
Oh, yeah.
Or a passion you never knew you had.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to thank you for, sharing your insights and expertise.
It's been a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am.
Yeah.
To take those piles of scrap wood
Right.
and turn them into something truly special.
And remember, the most valuable tool you have isn't a saw or a sander.
Right.
It's your imagination.
I love that. So until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep those imaginations running wild.